What's going on, everyone? It's me, Aaron Collins, and this is another edition of me addressing worldly issues in a godly way. I hope everyone's doing well this weekend. As usual, I always wish everyone a happy and safe weekend, whatever it is you do. And with that said and done, let's get on into the commentary. And with this particular commentary, I'm going to kind of be at a little bit of length because this is something important. So here goes. Recently, matter of fact, I believe it was yesterday, I was watching a live stream that was being conducted by none other than GabTalkMedia. Shout out to Gab. If anyone doesn't know Gab Talk, man, go check that brother's channel out. He's got a lot of information, a lot of good content. Really positive brother. I love this brother. Check him out. Anyway, Gab, if you're watching this video, and I appreciate you, brother. Anyway, I was watching a live stream, and on this particular live stream, he was playing back sound bites from an interview that was conducted by K. Michelle. K. Michelle is a celebrity figure in, I believe, music. She's been on, what is it, Love and Hip Hop, one of those shows. Anyway, she did an interview where she made some pretty disturbing comments as it pertains to all men. She said something pertaining that men are bad people. She didn't differentiate. Now, normally when I hear topics like this, when I hear stuff like this, usually it doesn't get to me because one thing that's going on YouTube is the battle of the sexes. It's rough. I really don't get into it. Anyway, normally it doesn't bother me, but it was something about this particular thing that she was saying that really got my attention. She said that men are bad. She didn't differentiate. She just said men in general. And she gave stories of women who she's spoken to who have come to her saying that their man had cheated on them and these women were crying. And basically, she was just pretty much just being like a positive figure for them, a positive role model, so to speak. Now, there's nothing wrong with her for doing that. It's nothing even wrong with her having her opinion about what she said because, after all, it is still her opinion. But the information and the things she was spewing out was quite disturbing. And as a matter of fact, she even said as much as that she wants a hood guy. Now, the things that she was saying that about all men being bad and she doesn't trust them, that's putting a blanket, making a blanketed statement over an entire gender of men who don't deserve it. And of course, during the commentary, Gab would stop the commentary and explain away what's going on, what she was saying, what it meant, and saying how he felt about it. Now, there were some folks that were in the comments section, and I myself was also in the comments putting disdain, and I noticed that it became a literal battle of the sexes. Like I said before, I normally don't get into these conversations and these debates. I really don't like them, but there were some really erroneous things that were being said. Like, for example, there was a statement there from one of the women saying that they agree with K. Michelle, and that, not to mention, it came on black men. Now, K. Michelle didn't really differentiate whether she meant black men or white men or just men in general. But she was saying that men were bad, but of course, being that it's a black channel that we were on, Gab Talk, and Gab Talk has a majority of a black audience, just say that the topic, the focus went to black men. Now, while I admit there are some black men who really do not stand up for black women the way they should, and who really don't get involved in the affairs of the black community and rally behind things that affect black women, to include all men in that blanketed statement is just pure wrong. And I'll tell you why. Because I represent one of these men. And I myself have been publicly outspoken and vocal of how I feel about black women. I've made that point very clear. Matter of fact, I've even come under scrutiny to become blasted by other men myself because of my stand for black women. And it's true, I really do love black women. There was also things saying that only black men only love they don't love natural black women, which is another not a non-true statement. Because I do prefer a black woman that has her natural hair, that has a natural body. I do prefer that. And that's not to say I have not dated women that have had chemically processed hair. I have, but I do have a preference for natural women. But as long as she's a black woman, I have really no problem. I don't really make a big issue out of it, because in actuality, I want a woman that's gonna put God first anyway. But yes, I have made it clear before that I love black women. I still do. The things though that K. Michelle was spewing out that she really neglected to mention, and that I would actually bring these points up, but they seemed to, for some reason, to go ignored, was the fact that guys that she's chosen in the past have been hood type of guys. She's actually admitted that she loves these kinds of guys. So I have a question for K. Michelle. If you deal with guys of that ilk, if you deal with guys that come from that type of line of thinking, you ought to know what you're getting. You deal with guys that have been known to be disrespectful to a woman, then that's what you get. She brought up a story about a woman whose husband made her get butt injections, and for somehow that was put down on all men. First of all, I'm not responsible for that woman getting butt injections. If anything, the focus needs to be directed to her husband, because he supposedly left her after she got him for a younger woman, which I agree, he was very wrong for doing that. But once again, why put that off on me? I'm not responsible for the actions of other men. I can only be responsible for the actions of Aaron Collins. I'm only one individual man. And for these guys, there's a lot of these guys that are out engaging in certain behaviors that are undesirable, and the guys such as myself who really do love black women are always getting caught up in the mix. And that was really, I must admit, it maybe I shouldn't have let it bother me, but it just did, because it was pretty hurtful to hear. And not to be like these men who get triggered, or these dusty beta male types who get triggered whenever they're being held responsible, they're being held accountable. That's not the type of reaction I was giving. I was giving the reaction of someone who was put in a category that he didn't belong to. That was pretty much the reason why I was being triggered by the whole thing. Because, I mean, I'm known on YouTube, and particularly in the black sector of YouTube, to stand up and champion for women. I never told this part of my story before, but there's been times when during my activist days where I actually went to bat for black women. One particular black woman back in Texas, and one day, maybe I'll tell this story, I did stand up for who was wrongfully accused during a racist incident that happened to her. And I've also stood up for women such as Sandra Bland and Rakia Boyd and other women like that. But no, I don't condone any kind of rape. I don't condone any kind of disrespect of women, particularly black women. And I've also even come and blasted statements made by Tommy Sotomayor and Obsidian and those guys too. See, we don't all think the same. We all have different mindsets and different thought processes. Because we're men does not mean we should all be put in the same category. A lot of these guys I could care less for, to be honest. I'm not with this red pill thinking, MGTOW minded type of way of doing things. That's not how I think. It has not been how I think. Do I believe that there are certain roles that men and women play? Of course. But that's just based on the fact that we're men and they're women. Men and women have different roles in life. They have different things in life that they must fulfill. But I wanted to just put that out there, because when you deal with and I'm gonna get a little bit graphic with this, but this is what I'm gonna say. When you deal with ain't shit people, expect to get ain't shit results. And a lot of times, these women, and unfortunately, and I can only speak for black women because I'm from the black community, I've seen some of these black women go after these dusty guys that they know they're up to no good, that they know that they didn't slept with. They're probably their cousins and sisters and best friends or what have you, but you still navigate to these guys. And I get it that you don't want to be lonely, but why would you navigate to someone that means you no good? K. Michelle even said something when it came to her own son, who's 16, that she doesn't want to go through that again. And I think to myself, man, that sounds like a very indicting remark toward her own son. But I realize that K. Michelle doesn't quantify the thoughts of all women and that she's just an individual woman. But and that is her thought. That is her opinion, and she is very much entitled to her opinion. But I just want to say that way of thinking is erroneous. It's reckless and could possibly even be dangerous. Because once again, it gets men who are not even in that line of thinking caught up into something that they don't belong in. Like I said before, I normally wouldn't even get caught up in something like that because I know I don't fit the description of that type of man. But that particular statement right there that K. Michelle made was an attention getter. So if K. Michelle should happen to get a hold of this particular video, you know how I feel now. Your way of thinking is wrong. Once again, it is your way of thinking, and you have a right to that way of thinking, and that is strictly your opinion, though. So I'm thankful that there are some women, that all women think this way, and I know that not all men are dusty. There are some good men and women out there. The thing I want to mention is that in the system that we live in the world, we really have to clean up our own house. How can we, as black people, come together and fight against the system that constantly discriminates and perpetuates racism toward us when we can't even seem to get our own act together? We got a lot of work to do within our own communities, within our own selves. It's too much infighting going on. We are a fractured people. We got to get that together. Anyway, I know people are going to get in the comments, and I welcome you to. And once again, shout out to GabTalkMedia. I appreciate you, brother, for putting that out there because after that, he had a panel discussion, and it got intense at times, but things like this need to be talked about. There needs to be a dialogue because this is something serious. We can't continue to sweep this under the rug. Because, see, that is one of the things that is a definite elephant in the room of the black community. And we have to meet this with realistic results and solutions. We can't act like it doesn't exist. But I do believe that with God, all things are possible. I am a man of faith. I am a prayerful man. And that's how I operate. Anyway, everyone, like, comment, subscribe, share this video, let me know what you think. I know, once again, folks are going to get into the comments. Hit the bell icon to be notified when I drop more videos. And everyone, please support the channel at paypal.me/TheRealAaronCollins, patreon.com/TheRealAaronCollins. Because I have a compassion for the community, and I do have a compassion for black women. And echoing the words of Malcolm X, he said that the black woman is by far the least protected woman on the planet Earth, and I agree, and also the most disrespected. A lot of black women want protection from black men, and that's understandable, and I get that. I totally get that, and that's something I want to offer. Are there some black women out there that do have some ratchetivity to them? Of course. There's some out there who can be pretty disrespectful themselves? Of course. Put themselves in a position of men? Of course. Are they worthy of protection as well? Yeah, I do say they are worthy of protection because these women somewhere is someone's daughter, someone's sister, someone's mother, niece, cousin, what have you. Anyway, it's a tough topic to talk about, but nevertheless, it does need to be talked about. So, with that said, everyone, God loves you. I love you. Let's do life. And I will see you in the next video. Have a great weekend.